But I mean, just watch what Heyman did from Brock to Roman. It's a different
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
and he knew exactly
Completely.
what he
Yeah.
had to do.
Yeah.
He knew exactly what he had to do. And let's don't get it twisted. Brock became better on the mic because of Heyman,
Hmm.
and Roman became better on the
Definitely.
mic because of
Yeah.
Heyman. And not just because he coached
Definitely.
them, but because I think he puts that confidence in them that says, "I got your back.
Yeah.
Like if you need to go off, go off. I got you." So it's just
Mm.
sorry to get off on that tangent, but it's just
No,
like,
no,
yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
just
No, that's
you.
real, man. That's
It's on point.
honest. That's real. And we'll definitely use a future episode to highlight Paul Heyman in
Mm,
particular because he definitely deserves a full episode of flowers. There's
oh,
no
for sure.
question about that. Speaking of flowers, um, roses. The great Andre 3000 once said, "Roses really smell like boo boo boo, boo boo boo." Shout out to his new album that everyone has so many different opinions on. I love flutes, so I enjoyed it.
Oh man.
But speaking of boo boo, we gotta hold some people accountable. We've gotta highlight or low light the worst promo of 2023. And Adelaide, you have the honor of awarding this.
Yeah. And I'm sighing. I'm sighing because I was dreading this. I don't like to put people down, man. And we have some honorable mentions. We have some few that
Definitely.
one that stands out, and I don't think it was through any fault of his own, was that Keith Lee promo where they had I think they start with take 22. Whether that was a
Mm,
put on or real or not, that is embarrassingly horrible, and that says something to the production. I don't know what happened there, and I don't know if that was planned. I think after the fact they sort of referenced it. So I won't say Keith Lee. I really like Keith Lee. I don't think he's been given a fair shake, quite honestly, and there's been injuries involved. The promo I'm choosing, or that I'm putting out there, that's a potentially one of the worst promos of the year. For context, because this was this person's coming out party. This comes to us in June of
mm,
this year of 2023 of last year. It is in the lead up to the All In pay per view in Europe, in the UK, and this is Jungle Boy's heel turn. And to lay out the groundwork,
mm.
there's always some sense, being named one of the pillars and whatnot. That he's always been held in high regard. He's an MJF, he's a Hook, he's a Britt Baker, and what have you. And Tony Khan always held in high regard. Promos have never been his strong suit. I will say that much. And this promo really hit on that for all the wrong reasons. Not because of the content of the words. The words, nothing wrong. There was just no conviction. This goes back to a point that
Right.
Greg's made, Adrian's made several times. Like, if I don't believe the words that are coming out of your mouth, and I truly don't believe that you're being a bad guy, or in this case, someone who's out to get Hook and get revenge and win the FTW title, it comes out hollow, right? He starts to yell at the
Mm.
audience. He starts to elicit essentially fake reactions because he's not getting a reaction.
You all have ruined that song for me to the point that we're never going to hear it again. You know what? Boo all you want. It does not change the fact. You see, I got a car right back there waiting to take me to the airport. And all of you are stuck here with the wildfires. I'm still young. I'm still cashing fat checks. And I am still banging the hottest bitch in this entire place. Relax. Now, did I turn on Hook? Or did everybody turn on me? After everything that I've done, after everything that I have given to this place, and after being robbed of not one, but 2 world championships, you expect me to sit here and watch some entitled, second-generation little prick dangle his championship in my face? You know what the funny thing is? That belt is not even officially recognized by this company. And that's for the same reason that I don't recognize you, Hook.
Just felt so forced. And it was indicative of this idea of here you're putting this guy who obviously you have high regard for and you want to see do well, but he's not there yet. He needs a talking piece. He needs someone to interpret essentially what he's trying to get across, because otherwise it sounds generic, right? Telling the crowd to shut up, trying to get a crowd reaction. The worst part yet, they pan to the audience. People are sitting down. The actual panning shot, nobody has a reaction, negative or positive. The only people reacting are in the first floor seats there. Those are the people you really see react. What happens next? This is the buildup, right? We get this heel kind of, running away. Jack Perry. There's the incident at Collision, Punk show at the time. We get the All In show. The argument was he was trying to do a spot with shattered glass. And Punk, who owned apparently that show or was in charge of that show, apparently said, no, you can't do that. It's too dangerous. Fast forward to All In. He does the spot on it and falls on the glass in that match and looks at the camera and says, real glass, cry me a river. That was a good promo. That was shoot. But
That was
again,
better. Yeah, that was
it
better
was
than
again, it's this thing where you see the difference where the passion came from. Whereas this seemed like, okay, you really got to sell that you're a bad guy now, and he leaned on every bad guy heel trope that you can think of, including I'm not getting a reaction, I'm going to tell the crowd to shut up. So the worst that we can think of, I don't think I honestly don't think this was a horrible year for promos. I think people were on their game regardless. And in the grand scheme of promos, I don't think this is even the worst one of all time, obviously. But in the context of what they were trying to do, it could have been so much better. But thoughts, gentlemen, I don't know what you guys thought.
Oh, definitely. No, definitely. I definitely agree. The main issue with this promo is believability. We don't believe you. We don't believe you, Jack. At this point, what you're doing, what you're saying, all you're doing is fishing. When you go, when you're cutting a promo and you randomly go to the crowd to tell them shut up. Like Ric Flair back in TNA was notorious for this. He would be cutting a promo that no one believed, no one actually cared about, and then what would he do? Shut up, fat boy, or I'm gonna sleep with your mom. Like the little cheap little things to elicit an immediate reaction from that crowd there. But for those of us that are watching on TV, we're like, dude, you're fishing. You're reaching right now. You're tripping. What are you doing? And that perfectly sums up that Jungle Boy promo. At that point, we didn't believe you. We didn't believe that you were a heel. We didn't believe that you were a legitimate tough guy. And all of the tough talk that you had for Hook, that you had for Taz, that you had for any of the fans of AEW, we didn't believe you. We just didn't believe you. And that's a great choice for worst promo. I definitely agree with you 100%. Greg, what you think?
I mean, watching this promo was like watching Southpaw Wrestling, if you remember that parody that WWE did.
I love
It was
Southpaw.
it was like generic heel promo 101. Tell the crowd shut up. Say I'm going to kick your butt. Da, 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 da. I mean, it's the same. It was just, and like you guys said, it wasn't believable at all. And I think they didn't do him any favors. He wasn't that over in the first place. Once Luchasaurus left him, he hasn't been that over. So I'm like,
That's true.
okay, you better cut a promo and leave his dad out of it. That made no sense. See, they're calling you an asshole. No, they're not. And the thing is, this is how you know he's not comfortable. If you're calling you an asshole, embrace it.
Mhm.
Bring it. I mean,
Mm.
you think about back in the day, Rock or Austin or whoever, they embraced it, and whether they
Hell,
acknowledge it or
Vince.
not, yeah, or
Yeah.
whether they acknowledge it or not, he may stop and just look. Go back to the Cody thing when they started chanting Dusty, he stops. When they start to chant certain things, you need to stop and let it soak in. And he didn't. He didn't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
He got thrown off his game. And then here's another way that I judge a bad promo. When you feel like you have to cuss, you ain't got them.
Mhm. Mhm.
You ain't got them.
That's it. You're right.
And I have to resort to that because I know I don't have them. And I was sitting here looking at this dude, and I'm like, look, somebody like that should be able to get so much heat. He's a good looking kid. We all know that he was, Dylan from 90210's kid. He should be, I think he should tap into that whole thing. But I'm like, dude, as a heel, you were picked for this. This is like, oh my gosh, it's written out, it's laid out for you.
Mhm.
Roll with it. And no, everything was so forced. And it was just like, and I felt like when the crowd started chanting asshole, it's because they were bored.
Yeah.
Because that's one of those
Mm.
promos that when I first saw it, I was like, this is bad. It's like,
Like, like you almost want to credit that AEW crowd for at least trying to push it
hmm
with the asshole chant.
yes.
In most ecosystems, take WWE, they wouldn't have just done that. They
Mm-mm.
would have just been quiet. They would have been sitting on their hands.
Yeah.
hmm
So credit the AEW crowd for at least trying to help and push the narrative,
hmm
but it just didn't feel authentic at all. And that's where it falls flat.
And that's a great point. And I think that's something that I know when I discuss AEW crowds and WWE crowds. WWE crowds are more casual fans.
Mhm.
AEW crowds are made up by the IWC. It is what it is. And there's such
But
a passion by the AEW crowds that they want them to do well. That to you just made a great point. They're there
definitely.
to help you. They're trying to help you. They're
Yeah.
trying to push you along. They want to see you. They don't want you to fail. They don't want to. They want
Right.
to defend you the next day on the internet. They want to, they do. It is, and that's great. That's a wonderful thing.
And they do.
Yeah, oh,
And they
100%.
do.
They 100%. And they will all day, AEW, they'll carry the flag and everything. But as a talent, they're behind you. They want you to succeed, especially your homegrown, quote unquote, homegrown talent, your originals. And yeah, he just fell on his face.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't think he's done much better since, to be honest.
No. He was playing that same heel pretty much for
hmm
that 2 month run. And to your point, he ignored the crowd. He went in there with tunnel
Mm.
vision and said, I need to get from point A to point B,
hmm
and I'm not gonna pause, I'm not gonna react. And that's the major befalling, right? Anyone from a promo standpoint, like I said, Cody pauses, right? Rock would acknowledge the crowd, um Stone Cold would breathe it in, now you have the masters of the who can avert the what chant, right? Because again, in WWE, if they get
Right.
bored of you, they're gonna what chant you. So
hmm
do that curve? This was, for better or worse, this was his best at the moment. And I look forward to him showing some improvement. But like I said, I think he needs to lean on something else. This made up bad guy doesn't work. It's not true to himself.
It just really speaks to his youth in the industry,
Hmm.
as in being a professional wrestler, as in being a heel, as in being able to work off of a crowd. There's a clear level of discomfort, as in being the bad guy, being the asshole, being the actual asshole. Like, you're a fabricated asshole through this promo.
Hmm.
That's basically what this is. You got the crowd actually trying to give you the layup, and you're not even willing to do it. You're
hmm
passing the shot at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was gonna say what's amazing to me is with the talent that's around him. dude, just go, hey, Mr. Jericho, Mr. Ross, Mr. Shivani. I'm like, you, Moxley, Kingston. He's got so many people in there, and at the time, Punk, so many people who can cut a promo and know how to. and
Yeah.
and you know what else? Okay, this is my last critique on it. Sorry, this drives me crazy. It's not just him. Stay in one place in the ring. Like, stop walking
Mm.
all around. Because when you turn around, you turn your back to the camera, you've now lost me. You've now lost me as a viewer.
Mm.
You're talking to Taz. I don't care that you're talking to Taz. Taz is not gonna talk you. You're not gonna talk Taz into the building. He's getting paid to come in. Talk us into it. Talk the crowd into it. And if you watch, that's a problem I think with AEW as a whole. They walk around way too much. They don't talk to the hard camera. And when he was doing that, he did for a minute, but then he turned his back in it. And when he did it, I'm like, you lost it. You totally lost me.
You made a
Mm.
great point, and we can revisit the whole production side of promos. That would be interesting
Oh
to
yeah,
look at from just different company perspectives.
yeah.
That was a
Hmm.
great award being handed out of the league. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, look us up on socials at Suplex Dinner Club. And be sure to check out our other projects. We talk college football on Dogs versus All Y'all. That's a weekly college football podcast where we don't just talk about the Georgia Bulldogs, we talk about all things college football. The Life and Times Pod, which is short for the Life and Times of a Restaurant Lifer podcast, where I have some chill conversations with some cool and interesting people that I've met in my years in the hospitality industry. And of course, check out Talk 'em in the Building. That's a pro wrestling podcast where we solely focus on the promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype man, and we pontificate on the promo. It's a fun project, and if you're a pro wrestling fan, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. The Suplex Dinner Club family is growing, and I would love for you to be a part of it.